at kpq.com.
10 minutes past 1 o'clock on a sunny day where we're getting on to 70 degrees. And my very special guest is Chuck Egner. Chuck, I can't believe it's been a year. Director of the Wenatchee River Bluegrass Festival that's held at the Kashmere County Fairgrounds. It's coming up this weekend. That's where I'm going to be. And I was so impressed with some of the players I saw last year. I wouldn't miss it, Chuck. Wouldn't miss it.
Well, the band that was the headliner last year was the IBMA, the International Bluegrass Music Association, Vocal Band of the Year, reigning. The band we're having this year, Flat Lonesome, is this year's Vocal Band of the Year. So It's going to be special. 3 siblings in the band, a brother and 2 sisters. There's 6 people in the band. Fabulous dobro player, great harmonies.
Now, you know from groups like the Everly Brothers that when you get family members together doing harmony, get out.
It's special.
It's deadly.
Yeah,
very special. It really is remarkable. You find out how everybody's got the same sort of tone to their voice, and it just becomes, you can't tell the harmonies apart. They get so tight.
Yeah, their family name is Robertson, and 2 of the girls, I believe, are married to guys that are in the band. So there's siblings and husband and wife teams in this band. But they're really good. People are going to remember them for a long time, and they're quite young, too.
Where are they from?
They are from Tennessee, I believe. I'm not 100% sure.
Not the least bit surprised, am I?
No. Now, our other band, well, we got 4 headliners, really, and Alan Bybee in Grasstown. They're from South Carolina. Special Consensus is based out of Chicago. You wouldn't think that's a hotbed of bluegrass.
Well, there's a lot of roots music there, that's for sure.
There certainly is, yeah. And a lot of pizza, I hear.
Yeah,
anyway,
those damn Cubs. But
yeah,
I'm going to put that aside and not hold it against them for now.
And then we have a band called the Cody Norris Show. They're old style. They do a single mic thing. They dress up in fancy suits and loud colors and things like that.
Okay, they wear nudie suits like the people in North Hollywood?
They do, actually.
Actually? Oh, that's so cool. For people who don't know, the guy's name is Nudie. He makes these custom cowboy suits and has for years.
Oh, yeah, guys like Conway Twitty and those guys, they wore nudie suits forever.
Flying Burrito Brothers had some great ones.
Yeah, they certainly did. So we also, besides all the good music over there, we've got Taylor's Camp. It's a kids' camp. Kids 5 or 6 years old are in it, all the way up to teenagers. That has spawned off a scholarship fund via donations. So kids who grew up and became instructors in Taylor's Camp, when they go off to college, they can apply for a scholarship. And we've given quite a few scholarships away. I don't know how many we're giving away this year. I'm not sure what the application
You had about 6 dozen kids on stage last year. Remember, they were all playing together?
Yeah, so the kids do a concert at about 12:15 on Saturday outside on the grounds. And then that night, they get to do a main stage performance, one song. And it's about 50 or 60 kids.
The stage was full.
My grandson is one of them. He's the one holding the guitar and not playing it.
But holding it.
Yeah, he's been 2 years to Taylor's Camp, and he can't play a single chord, but he loves it.
Maybe he should try the piano.
Actually, he is a piano player, and that's the deal.
There you go.
He sees music through the eyes of a piano player, not a guitar player.
Well, piano players like the fact that all the notes are right there in front of them.
Exactly.
Guitar players have to look for them.
They're hidden on a guitar. I can tell you, as a frustrated guitar player, they're hidden from me.
And sometimes they're there, but you can't get to them,
yeah.
which cannot be explained. You can see it, you just can't get your finger there.
Exactly. So I play mostly bass because there's less strings.
I play bass because I got better at it. For some reason, I thought that I couldn't play guitar because I had a bad right hand, that I just wasn't picking well. But it turns out it was my left hand that was I don't have big hands, but they were too big for the guitar. I just couldn't do it right. When I started playing bass, I go, oh, God, look at all this room. I can do this.
My problem is lack of talent.
Oh, well, I have that, too. I have that by buckets. Now, I bet there's somebody driving down the road right now, driving down Miller. They've never been to a bluegrass concert. They probably have heard it on, where would they hear it? Maybe PBS on one of the weekend shows.
Or Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
But they don't know anything about it, and they don't go to the show. That's a big mistake. Let's tell them about bluegrass and why they should come to your show.
Well, incredible vocal harmonies and beautiful stories told in song and in the stories in between the songs. It can be a very soothing music. It can be a get out of your chair and dance music.
Yeah.
Wide variety of types. Bluegrass music, the name comes from Bill Monroe. His band was called the Bluegrass Boys. He was from Kentucky, the bluegrass state. And prior to that, it was just kind of country music. In the 1920s, the Carter family and Jimmy Rogers kind of kicked that off on a national basis.
The singing brakeman?
Brakeman.
The singing brakeman, right.
Yep. And he died of,
something terrible, probably.
Something terrible that they don't have anymore.
Diphtheria.
Yeah, well, so if he was in our era, he'd still be alive. But anyway, he didn't live very long, but he had a legacy of songs, just a tremendous amount of songs that are still being recorded and played by people today.
Well, he was a kid, and there wasn't a time for well-recorded music, but he could sing.
He absolutely
could. No doubt about that.
And he did his famous recordings at the same time as the Carter family in Bristol, Virginia or Tennessee. Let's see. They were on the Tennessee
Yeah.
side of the lane. The main street runs right down the border. So
One of my favorite phrases describing music is that high, lonesome sound. And there are many times when they'll sing a sad song in harmony, and you just want to tear up and dance slow.
well, we call it bluegrass music is sung from the heart and through the nose.
There you go. The adenoids are all important to shaping the sound of the note.
That's how you get those high tenor notes.
But the interesting thing about most of these bands that I'm seeing on television and around playing fairs and such is that they're young players. And you may think, well, that's right. There's always young piano players. There's always young players in every music genre, and that's true. But playing bluegrass music is a challenge to your chops. You just can't pick up the guitar and do it. I'm sorry. It can't. It takes a lot more than that.
Yep.
It's not, and I know this because of my own limitations. So where do these kids get this talent, and where do they learn?
Well, they're immersed in it because their parents go to these festivals, and the kids are drug along because that's where their parents are that weekend. And then they meet other kids, and then they see the fun the parents are having, and usually the parents will buy an instrument. I bought my grandson a little guitar, that fit his hands, and in his case, he's not taken off with it, but a lot of the kids really do. And once they have the peer pressure of their friend over here has learned this song, now they've got to learn it, and most of them in this type of music don't really take lessons. They go to workshops and Taylor's Camp type things, but it's not like every Wednesday at 5 o'clock they go to a guitar lesson. That's pretty unusual in this type of music.
And it would be pretty difficult to find someone teaching you all those licks because you just have to find a player that knows them already, not a teacher.
Exactly. So, but one of our kids who is now a junior at Washington State University, he's been on scholarship for a couple of years from us. He started out at this festival the very first year. He's about 5 or 6 years old, and he had a plastic guitar in his hands that was unplayable. It was a toy, but I noticed he was moving his hand in time with the music. And it was very noticeable, and I told his mother that, and she bought him a mandolin literally the week after our festival. And the kid right now, he's over 21 now and going to be an architect soon, but he's a virtuoso mandolin player, guitar player, banjo player, and he could sing. Just makes me sick. I wish I could do all that.
It's very disturbing to hear that story.
Yeah, and I mean, he's professional quality at all of those.
One of the aspects of bluegrass music is the song will be going along. Somebody will do something vocally or somebody will do something on the banjo or guitar that absolutely blows your mind. There will be a lick or a stop or a turnaround or something, and you just go, my God, how did they do that? They're all such incredibly fast players.
Well, what's really cool is when you see the band all kind of turn their heads and say, whoa,
you've never done that before.
Yeah, and that happens fairly often.
Yeah.
Fairly often. So if you want to see this, what you would do is you go to the Expo Center in Kashmir. It's on Westcott. And you can pay $25 for Friday, you can pay $25 for Saturday, and $10 for Sunday, and that's $60 when I was a kid. I think it still is. But for $35, you can get all 3 days, come and go as you please.
Whoa.
And with the wristband, after paying that, you have access to the campground where the jam sessions are. The jam sessions, for me, are the highlight of the weekend. I mean, I love watching this great music and all, but being able to pick with friends that are from Idaho, Montana, Alaska, California, Oregon, that we only get to see once or twice a year is really special.
How do those jam sessions get started? Are they not on the stage, but elsewhere around the
Oh, yeah, they're all over
ground?
the campground. They're just impromptu. Because of our weather here, you never know what it's going to be. And
That's
by the
right.
way, while I'm thinking of that, the concert hall is air-conditioned and heated, so it doesn't matter what the outside weather is. We're one of the very few festivals in the Northwest, maybe the only one, that has an indoor venue. Most everything's outside.
Nice seating, plenty of room,
Excellent seating.
and good
There's
sound system.
a great sound system, and there's vendors outside the door, popcorn, variety of different kind of foods and espresso and things like that.
Yeah,
So-
if good music makes you hungry or peckish, step outside and
There you go.
get yourself a pastrami and rye or whatever they have going.
Yep. So we the show started about 4:15 in the afternoon. We started them earlier a few years ago because we started noticing that all the people that had the same color hair as mine were leaving.
Coming early and leaving early.
They were leaving at 9 o'clock, and some of the best shows were at 10 o'clock. And so now we backed everything up. The last show starts at 8:15 now. It's over by 9:30 at the latest, and people can get back to the campground and pick. So a lot of people have pop-up shelters. You asked how these things get started. Somebody's got a cool pop-up shelter to keep you out of the elements. You hear somebody's playing in there. You stick your head in. More likely than not, you'll be waved in. You get waved in, you get your instrument, you stand out at the edge, and you work your way towards the middle as people come and go.
That's how it works.
That's how it works.
Oh, that's great. Pecking order.
The better you are, the quicker you get to the center.
Yeah, one good solo, and they'll just wave you right to the middle.
Exactly.
You, over here.
Yeah.
How did this get started? I know you were right at the beginning with the board of directors because somehow your life made you love bluegrass music.
Yeah, just like the music. And when we moved over here in 2000 from the other side of the world, the other side of the mountains, I inquired about jam sessions, and there was a jam session that was held in the Episcopal Church in Kashmir on Saturdays.
Those Episcopals are incorrigible.
Yeah.
They are sinners.
I'm not sure if I ever met an Episcopal, but I went to the church.
No, you won't meet any, just the church.
Yeah, we went to the church. And so that group, Joyce Ficken was kind of organizing that at that time, and she organized some concerts. She'd get a band from Spokane to come over and play, and we'd get 30 or 40 people in there. And that started growing, and when they built the new community center, we started getting bigger and doing it there. And so the core group of people that was helping to put those shows on became the board of directors. And that board of directors decided Joyce wanted to do it. We wanted to do a bluegrass festival. And we did our first one, and we didn't know how we were going to pay for the bands. We made commitments to 3 or 4 regional bands. Luckily, they didn't cost very much. And we drew just enough money and sponsors to kind of not be in trouble. And the next year, we did a little more, and we raised a little more money. More people donated a little bit.
Has it always been at the fairgrounds?
Always been at the fairgrounds. One year we experimented with having it at 2 venues. So it was at the fairgrounds, and we also used the community center. But we realized quickly that we didn't have the staff to cover both of them well. The idea was that some of the older people in Kashmir couldn't make it to the fairgrounds and weren't very mobile, and it'd be easier on them. But it might have been easier on them, but it was harder on
everybody.
On everyone else.
I'm so sorry.
So it's always been at the fairgrounds. And in the first 3 years, it was kind of a grim place up there. They had kind of let it go out in the campground area in particular. And the county commissioners decided to fix it up, and they put in 135 full hookup sites. So they got sewer, water, electricity, Wi-Fi. They put in new bathrooms. The old bathrooms were decrepit and disgusting, and now they've got nice, clean, new stuff.
So people can jam in comfort.
Yes, I've actually tested out a guitar in the bathroom at 3 in the morning. The acoustics are great.
Oh, they are. They're the best.
So, that was fun.
What are you playing these days? Still playing your Martin?
I play a 1937 Martin D18 guitar. And
I do really have feelings about that.
Yeah.
That burns me up.
It's kind of cool. And I also have a 1961 K bass.
A K bass? K-A-Y?
K-A-Y.
That's a pretty good sounding bass. That's got a big sound.
I'm pretty happy with it. I was fortunate to get it.
I think there was a guy, Ronnie Lane, with the small faces played a K bass.
Yeah.
An English version.
They
had a great sound.
They made a lot of basses. They were made of plywood, and that's why they're popular with bluegrass people. Most instruments, you want to get a solid wood instrument. But a bass has so much real estate that when you take it from 40 degrees at night to 95 degrees in the afternoon and humidity out when it's raining, those basses crack. And the plywood basses don't crack.
Wow.
So they're durable. You can throw them in the back of a pickup truck and not worry about them. And luckily they made a lot of them. So I'd like to get a birth year one, 1952.
Different things happen when you jam. First of all, you discover that maybe you're not as good as you were, but you might discover that you were better than you thought. At any rate, other people might enjoy your playing. And you learn how to play with other people. And that's a skill.
Listening. It's all about listening.
It is, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And then you've got to know what to do about what you're hearing. but listening
I can hear it.
paramount.
I just can't play it.
Yeah. And in a bluegrass environment, if that's the case, you just step to the outside of the circle.
Yeah, you can play rhythm.
Play rhythm. Sometime you're in over your head, and rather than drag a jam down, I would just leave.
I know. That's the polite thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm an intermediate, so I'm better than the people that really suck, but I'm not nearly as good as the people that get paid to do it. So, and the good news is that middle area is huge.
Yeah.
The vast majority of the campground is in the space I'm in. There are some real gifted people that, that deign to play with us occasionally. But really, I don't want to walk into a jam of professionals and then have everybody looking over like, who's
what
that
happened
guy?
here?
Yeah.
Let's talk about getting tickets. How do we proceed?
Yeah, so you go out to the fairgrounds, the Expo Center, Chelan County Expo Center. Right now, if you were to buy tickets for the weekend, you would buy them in the campground, even if you're not camping. We don't have the table set up yet, but starting tomorrow afternoon, we'll have a table set up right outside the Expo Center hall, the grand hall there. And tickets will be available, I think, from about 3 o'clock on, something like that. So we're in the big pavilion there. You'll see all kind of activities starting really tomorrow. The Taylor's Camp starts at 11 o'clock on Friday and 8:30 in the morning on Saturday. So starting at about 11 o'clock tomorrow, there'll be activity on the main grounds over there. A bunch of little kids running around in small groups, eating hot dogs and, getting wired on pop.
Maybe if you hear some playing going on, it's already begun, the jamming.
Oh, yeah, the jamming started Monday night, really.
In fact, you were playing last night, weren't you?
Played till the wee hours. Actually, I played till this morning, to be more accurate. And I'm going to do it again the next 3 nights in a row.
What's the best thing about putting on this show?
When the bands are on the stage and the organizers, Marie Vecchio is the president, I'm the vice president, we're 2 of the original founders, the only 2 left. But there's an 8-person board. But walking around and just seeing the look on people's faces, that makes it all worth it.
Because the music does transport you. It takes you away.
It really does. And I don't need anybody up there saying, thank you, this is wonderful. I'm glad. I can tell it. I can just see it.
That's show business.
Yeah.
Chuck Egner is the director of the Wenatchee River Bluegrass Festival. It's held every year at the Kashmere County Fairgrounds. It's this weekend. I'm going. You should. And you can get that special ticket. What's the admission? $35 for all 3 days?
$35 for all 3 days. If you only want to come for the gospel show, it's just $10 that afternoon.
Thanks, Chuck, and good luck to everything, okay?